Mayberry Meet Mayhem, written by Irma Bombeck. If life is a bowl of cherries, what am I doing in the pits? Our town, Pear Blossom Creek, was known for three things: its annual pie contest, Mrs. Henderson's prize-winning petunias, and its unwavering tranquility. Life moved at the pace of a sleepy turtle, each day a predictable echo of the last. That is, until Agnes Miller decided to spice things up a bit. Agnes, our knitting vigilante. Agnes, with her sensible shoes and ever-present knitting needles, was about as threatening as a basket of kittens. She smelled faintly of lavender and freshly baked cookies, and her idea of a wild Friday night was staying up past 9 to finish a particularly intricate doily. No one, and I mean no one, suspected she had a rebellious bone in her tiny body. But Agnes, it turned out, had a secret that involved a craving for justice, a dash of vigilante spirit, and an unusual fondness for gummy bears. 5-finger discount, senior style. It was a Tuesday, sunny and unremarkable, when Agnes decided to take matters into her own wrinkled hands. Agnes, a 70-year-old with a reputation for being the sweetest lady on the block, had finally had enough. The rising prices of everyday items had pushed her to the edge. She was known for her delicious homemade cookies and her kind heart. But today, she was on a mission. She marched into Miller's Gas and Grub, a small, family-owned gas station that had been a staple in the community for decades. The bell above the door jingled as she entered, a sound that usually brought a smile to her face, but not today. Her eyes narrowed with determination, a look that could rival any seasoned criminal. She had a plan, and nothing was going to stop her. The other customers in the store barely noticed her as she made her way to the counter. Her handbag, the one with the embroidered kittens, suspiciously bulging. It was her favorite bag, a gift from her late husband, and it had seen better days. But today, it was her secret weapon.
Witnesses later swore they heard her muttering something about highway robbery and the price of sugar. "It's a crime, I tell you," she had said under her breath. "Charging these prices for sugar, it's practically highway robbery."
Now, robbing a gas station is hardly a quiet affair, even when attempted by a seasoned criminal. The chaos that ensued was something out of a movie. Shelves were knocked over, and products were scattered everywhere. Even when attempted by a seasoned criminal, such an act would draw attention. But Agnes was no ordinary criminal. She had never done anything like this before, but she had watched enough crime dramas to know the basics. But when your perpetrator is a 70-year-old grandmother with a penchant for floral prints, it tends to raise a few eyebrows. Her floral dress fluttered as she moved with surprising agility for someone her age. It tends to raise a few eyebrows. The other customers and the staff were in shock. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Agnes, the sweet old lady who always had a kind word for everyone, was robbing the gas station.
Mr. Miller, busy ringing up a pack of gum, was oblivious to the commotion. He had known Agnes for years, and never would have suspected her of anything like this. Didn't even notice Agnes cleaning out his register. She moved quickly, her hands surprisingly steady as she took the money. It was almost as if she had done this before, but of course she hadn't, until she shoved a bag of gummy bears at him and demanded the rest of it. "Give me the rest of the money," she said, her voice firm. Mr. Miller was stunned. He handed over the money without a word, too shocked to do anything else. The police arrived shortly after, their sirens blaring. Agnes was taken into custody, but not without a fight. She insisted that she was only taking what was rightfully hers, that the prices were too high, and that she was making a stand for all the seniors on fixed incomes. As she was led away in handcuffs, she held her head high. She had made her point, and in her mind, she had done the right thing. The community was left in shock, but also with a newfound respect for Agnes. She had shown them that sometimes you have to take a stand, no matter how old you are. The story of Agnes's daring heist spread quickly through the town. Some people were outraged, while others were inspired. It became a topic of conversation at every dinner table and community gathering. And as for Agnes, she became somewhat of a local legend. She was the sweet old lady who had taken a stand, and in doing so had reminded everyone that age is just a number, and that sometimes you have to fight for what you believe in.
Turns out, Agnes wasn't motivated by greed or a sudden desire to finance a life of crime. No, her intentions were far more noble and heartwarming. Agnes had a much purer motive, one that revolved around love and family. Her granddaughter's school bake sale was coming up, and it was a big event in their small town.
Those prices are outrageous. It's practically criminal. How can anyone afford to bake anything these days? A body can't even afford a dozen eggs without taking out a second mortgage. It's highway robbery, I tell you.
See, little Susie had her heart set on winning the blue ribbon for her famous chocolate chip cookies, cookies that had become a legend in their family. The recipe was a cherished family heirloom, passed down from Agnes herself, naturally. It was a symbol of their bond and tradition. But the price of ingredients had skyrocketed, making it nearly impossible to bake without breaking the bank. Agnes, a woman of principle and determination, refused to let inflation stand between Susie and her baking dreams. She was not one to back down from a challenge.
What on earth is going on here? Why is everything so expensive all of a sudden?
She declared to a bewildered Mr. Miller, who was now staring down at an empty cash register, unable to comprehend the situation. And there it was, a bag of gummy bears, the only thing she could afford with the change she had left. But Agnes was not one to give up easily. Determined to make Susie's dream come true, Agnes decided to get creative. She started baking cookies with whatever ingredients she could find at home. She used substitutes, made do with what she had, and poured all her love and effort into those cookies. They might not have been perfect, but they were made with heart. On the day of the bake sale, Susie proudly presented her cookies. They were a hit, not just because of their taste, but because of the story behind them. And when Susie won the blue ribbon, it wasn't just a victory for her. It was a testament to Agnes's love, determination, and the power of family. The Great Cookie Caper wasn't about the cookies or the competition. It was about the lengths a grandmother would go to for her granddaughter, and the love that binds them together. The arrival of Officer Johnson, a young man who still blushed when Agnes slipped him an extra cookie at the annual bake sale, only added to the absurdity of the situation.
Agnes, is everything all right?
Of course, dear, just teaching young Michael here a valuable lesson about supply and demand. Now about those gummy bears.
He found himself staring at Agnes, who was patiently explaining the economics of baking to a shell-shocked Mr. Miller. Her handbag, still suspiciously full, sat on the counter, a single knitting needle poking out like a miniature flagpole. The next few minutes were a blur of confused explanations, stifled laughter, mostly from Officer Johnson, and the insistent chirping of the gas station's lottery machine. In the end, no charges were filed. Mr. Miller, thoroughly charmed and slightly terrified by Agnes's unorthodox methods, even refused to press charges, claiming he'd needed a good laugh anyway.
Besides, have you ever tasted Agnes's cookies? They're worth every penny, stolen or otherwise.
He confided to Officer Johnson later. And so, Agnes Miller, the knitting vigilante of Pear Blossom Creek, became a local legend. Her story began as a simple tale of an elderly woman with a passion for knitting, but it quickly evolved into something much more extraordinary. Agnes was not just any knitter. She was a force to be reckoned with, a symbol of resilience and ingenuity in our quaint little town. The story of her gas station liberation, as she fondly called it, spread like wildfire, cementing her status as the most unexpected criminal mastermind our sleepy town had ever seen. It all started when Agnes noticed the unfair treatment of the gas station employees. With her sharp mind and even sharper knitting needles, she devised a plan to expose the corruption. The town was abuzz with gossip, and soon everyone knew about Agnes's daring escapade. She became a hero overnight, and the gas station employees were forever grateful for her bravery. As for Susie's bake sale, it was an event that brought the entire community together. The aroma of freshly baked cookies and cakes filled the air, and people from all walks of life gathered to support the cause. Agnes, with her ever-present knitting needles, was there too, offering her homemade treats and sharing stories of her adventures. Let's just say she won first prize, and Agnes, with a twinkle in her eye, claimed it was the sweetest victory of all. The bake sale was not just about winning, it was about the sense of community and the joy of coming together for a common cause. Agnes's victory was a testament to her determination and her ability to bring people together. One thing's for sure. In Pear Blossom Creek, we've learned to never underestimate the quiet ones, especially when they're armed with knitting needles and a hankering for justice, or at least a good batch of cookies. Agnes's story has become a part of our town's folklore, a reminder that even the most unassuming individuals can make a significant impact. Her legacy continues to inspire us all, and we can't help but smile when we think of her. Well, Rumor has it she set her sights on the exorbitant price of yarn at the local craft store. Stay tuned. Agnes's adventures are far from over, and we eagerly await her next move. Whether it's taking on corporate greed or simply knitting a new masterpiece, one thing is certain. Agnes Miller will always be a legend in Pear Blossom Creek. Her story is a testament to the power of community, the importance of standing up for what's right, and the joy of finding unexpected heroes in the most unlikely places.